lame. Can you imagine if you're just like on a call and the person keeps like
I'm
doing
sorry. Sorry about that. Just a moment.
Yeah, I'll come back around. I'm on a tire swing. Just give me a second.
This bodes very well for this podcast. This bodes very well.
I want you to know, I got a glass specifically for this because I was just going to drink my coconut water, like a feral animal.
Right.
And instead I
Like a
grabbed my
homeless
glass.
person. Yeah. Right.
I was just like, what
slumming
will
it.
it look like on camera if I'm just,
My guess,
don't
do
wanna
not
give
drink
this-
out of cardboard boxes. That's not.
I don't want to give
no.
Vita Coco a shout out. Don't work for free.
That's it. We got to grade that out. It's going to be pixelated now. There's like a whole royalty battle you've just injected into this thing. Like, come on, you know better than that.
It's hard.
Yeah, but love that glass. Love a little coconut water. Just, that's like your go-to podcast hydration option. Love that. I also have, just as a wild card, I've got a shot of Cointreau here. So first of all, you didn't see that I have a shot coming. You didn't see that coming at all.
Is it alcohol? Is that what it is?
Cointreau. Yeah. So this is like,
I will say I'm sober 3 years. I do not drink. And when I did drink, it was never clear alcohols. So I have no idea what that is.
But we've got enough time. We're gonna get through all this, guys. This is a good question. Like, let's dive in. Okay. And
how is it different than ouzo?
And first of all, yeah, right. You're in the neighborhood. But first of all, not a big drinker myself, but that's why I think it's just so absurd, on a Friday afternoon, just to have like a shot glass out here. And Cointreau is a liqueur. It's a French liqueur, and it's got like orange overtones on it. So if you are familiar with, Grand Marnier, you're in the neighborhood, of the flavor profile we're talking about here. It's just sort of like a bougie.
At least you're fancy. If you're like, it's just a shot of Everclear, I'd be like, Nick, are you okay?
It's just grain alcohol, Eri, just kicking back a little Friday afternoon, just.
Yeah. Also, stay in your lane, right? Don't judge.
No, I only really do it for the show, but I just think it's great. What's it going to be? What's going to be the unexpected, like, power line that Eri's going to drop on us?
Shot
we're going to go, boom,
yeah.
that's the shot one. I don't know. You don't know as the audience, but we're all here for it. And what is it? Is that coconut water or is that milk? Is that like skim milk?
No, coconut water.
I guess of course it's milky.
It does look like milk. I had that thought that it looks like I drink skim milk.
I thought it was clear. Don't coconuts, when you open them, it's clear.
I got the one with the extra coconut. I thought that meant it had like the pulp in it because I like the coconut water with the like little pieces of coconut in it.
Yeah, ditto.
But it turns out, I don't know how you get extra liquid coconut into coconut milk. It's pretty good. It's very coconutty.
Hey, we'll let the coconut water people worry about that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But folks, did we even need an intro? Like you already understand the nature and the scope and the scale of the conversation that you're already a part of right now, right? Eri and I, it's real time, it's vibing, and it's very true to the subject line that you proposed, Eri, and I said, that's fantastic for what the premise of our conversation was going to be for our audience here today. And what was that premise, Eri? How about you? Tribute. What was that premise?
We were chatting, and I think one of us made the very astute observation that when you're hosting a workshop or really any sort of like large meeting, you're basically just kind of doing improv comedy, somewhat without the comedy. Right? Depends on your audience. Right. Why improv is a skill good workshop leaders need to have. And step one of that, I just want to say, is preparation. And I have it written down. So preparation.
Why improv is a good skill that those of us who facilitate workshops, all right, and don't back away and tune out because you're like, I don't facilitate workshop. No, I'm just saying sitting down with colleagues, peers, clients, vendors, whomever, and getting everybody on the same page, getting everybody to listen, to agree, to participate, to align. That's what we mean, right? But you and I, Eri, we've bonded over the fact that you and I, for a living, have facilitated many a workshop in our day. We're not exactly.
We are paid extroverts, is the way, we're just ourselves, and somebody put a monetary number after that. And we're just vibing. We're just going with it.
Somebody's basically like, here's my budget. You think of what to say next. And we're like, okay, yeah,
Well, and I will say, I used to take that for granted. I used to think like, oh, wow, I'm just being paid to have a good time. But then as I've gone throughout my career, you start to realize that's not really a skill that everybody has. It's not even a skill that I would say a lot of people have. Being able to like actually keep people engaged and really ride that line of like not being overbearing and like, completely dominating the conversation, but actually being able to like pull inputs out of people and get people to think about their best ideas. Like that is a skill set and I think I deserve to be paid for it. I think you deserve to
Amen.
be paid for it.
Amen. I'm glad you started there, Ari, because we're not saying, again, we're not saying it has to be literally a workshop. It's any gathering of leaders, of stakeholders where we need to get everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
And yes, we need to dance in the moment and come up with what needs to be said next. But like, what might be the types of, when you said we get paid to do some of this facilitation and stuff for a living, what might be the type of situation where you are walking in saying, I'm being paid to be here. I don't necessarily know these people. What is that called? What are some of the things that you're doing that you're called into these situations? And I'll do the same for me.
Yeah, I think I mean workshops I think are the easiest, most obvious
Yeah,
version of that, right?
sure.
Everybody understands what a workshop is. Usually you have somebody leading it. There's a group of people and you have a shared goal of like
Yeah.
what you're trying to get out of it,
And the
right?
goals that you get hired for your agency that you're with is around content strategy, right? You're helping people
Yeah.
think that through.
Yeah, branding, I in my line of work, right, it's all about marketing. So branding, helping companies align internally on their goals and what they want to be known for and what they want to achieve. But it can also, these skills are relevant also to just anybody in a leadership position in a job where you're facilitating meetings, right?
Mhm.
Workshops, this is like a dirty secret, right? But we'll tell you, workshops are just a little bit bigger
Mhm.
version of that, right? If
Right.
you can lead a meeting with your internal colleagues, you could and do it well, it's probably the same skills to lead like a workshop,
Right.
right?
I think a workshop is sort of like a meeting where people are expected to like write stuff down, where people are actually expected, everybody needs to contribute. People might be getting up, there can be some
Yeah.
whiteboarding. Like not every meeting is like that. That's all we're trying to say is
Yeah.
like you need to tell everybody else what to do. Minute 1, minute 2, minute 3 till we're out of here. And
Yeah.
pretty scary for some.
Absolutely. It's honestly it's scary for
Well,
me.
scary for me.
Every time somebody comes to me, they're like, "Can you lead this?" And it should be scary because it means that you are recognizing that there's work that needs to be done,
Right.
right?
And people are expecting you to have answers for things. They're going to ask you questions. They're going to say, where do we start? And you have to, whatever comes out of your mouth has to impart trust, impart clarity, impart interest from everybody around the room, including the CEO over here, this individual contributor over here, their manager over here, this salesperson who doesn't care and is waiting for the meeting to end. Like all of these people could be in that room. You get this mix of different titles and departments and priorities. And they're all like, can you somehow in real time aggregate all of our zeitgeist? And try to normalize the perspective and the next steps for both the highest level executive that we have and the most tactical individual contributor in here at the same time, please. At least that's what it feels like for me.
Well, and I
Um,
feel like you would know almost better than I do because you've been in that huge corporate environment
Word.
with HubSpot.
HubSpot. They grew. I mean, well, look, they're even bigger now. I've been a partner of theirs for years and followed right alongside them for many, many years. But when I was there, 1,300 people is pretty big. How big's the wonderful marketing agency that you work for now out there in Indianapolis?
My marketing agency, so our group is about 20 people.
Right. That's what I'm
Um,
used to. That size, big
yeah,
decent.
some really talented creatives. And don't let that size fool you. We've got this
No,
amazing chemistry and we work with very large national brands. And then we're part of a larger company as well. So we've got, I think for IRS purposes, it's more than 20 people, right?
of
But
course.
functionally it's 20.
Yeah,
Right.
right. And that's the size of agency that I've worked in and around and that I'm used to, 15 to 35, 40 people. And yeah, so like for me to have been, as Ari was telling you guys, a part of HubSpot at their run up of a year after their IPO, there was like 1,300 people on 3 continents. Like that's pretty huge for both Ari and I.
It's
Like the
enormous.
scrappy startup people, SMB style people, or just sort of like elite boutique agency veterans. It's big, no question about it. But no, I'm glad you picked this topic, Ari. Both you and I have to speak and help other people communicate for a living. I told you again about my business and about this podcast, and it's all about how can we help other people listening in be better at this type of stuff. And I'm not trying to say you and I are like the experts. We're in the dojo too, along with everybody else. We're figuring it out. and
Yeah.
pinning stuff down as we go, going, all right, that worked. I'm going to keep that tool, that method, that approach for next time.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you. I could be at this, and I have been at it for many years, as have you. And every time you're about to go into a room or onto a Zoom, you're like, I can't say I know exactly what's going to go down right now. Like I just can't ever feel like it's completely laid out for me and under control going in. So like there is almost it's unnecessary to have to improv. We're not saying that's like, oh, that'd be fun to throw some icing on the cake. Sometimes you're like, I just have to do that every time if
Yeah,
I'm leading.
it's like a skill that you have in your tool belt, right? To use
Mhm.
my corporate vernacular, right? The tool belt that you bring in with you. And I think it's more about um, or I should say, it's less about rote memorization than it is about having all of the things that you need, bringing all of the resources with you to a workshop environment or a meeting environment that you can easily pull from. You know where everything is. You know, you might not have the information off the tip of your tongue, right? Nobody should have the expectation that you're just like a robot that's memorized everything.
Mhm.
But knowing that you're prepared and that you're like, oh, you're asking about this. Actually, here we go. It's right here. And then knowing that you have those things so you can continue to facilitate the discussion. But, these workshops and things, I don't know, it's probably like 90% preparation and only like 10% of it is really like the scary stuff, which is
Yeah.
the,
I can so relate. It is about the preparation. What little information do I know? Where is like my bank of know-how? What am I going to be drawing on? Like, do I need visual aids? Do I need
Mhm.
some talking points? Is there anything call notes? What's on the deal record for these guys? Just having that at your fingertips and being able to quickly reference it and pull it up because you just don't know what they're going to want to see or jump into and tools. But if you have that ready in the clip and it comes up, it's easy. I have a feeling if your week was anything like my week, you probably were in a couple of these scenarios this week, like where you had to be in a situation like what we're talking about. Because it's
oh, I
kind
would
of
say there probably is not a week that goes by where I'm not in some capacity leading a meeting. I don't think that's rare, right? Lots
Mhm,
of people in manager positions are
sure.
required to lead
And you
meetings.
are a manager. Let's
Yeah.
touch on that. You do manage a team of content creators. You're the strategist that you help other people in your agency execute on the strategy for your clients. Is that right?
Yes, that's totally correct,
Mm.
and the I will say, I'm gonna talk about my agency for a second because I
Just
love them,
do
they're
it.
great.
Just do it.
Yep,
Brag on a
the
little
best
bit.
agency ever,
Come on.
um, but we're a team we're a really collaborative team. I think the best agencies are really collaborative teams, and so as a strategist, my role on that team and my role in that collaboration is I'm helping kind of map out our plan. That's planning, another word for preparation, right?
Yeah.
We're planning out where that content needs to show up, where it's going to be the most effective, where does it make sense? So that's what I'm doing a lot on a daily basis. And
Mhm.
so a lot of the meetings that I'm in or that I get called into revolve around that kind of work. How do
Mhm.
we kind of not only just get down in the weeds of like what's going on TikTok today? Like that's day to day stuff that I think your typical social media managers and whatnot are dealing with. My role is kind of zoomed out from that. So making sure we're keeping an eye on the horizon of what's coming up, what should we be planning for? And so that's a lot of the discussions that I'm in and helping just bring those pieces together and also identify where there might be some resource gaps that we might not have right now that maybe we'll have down the road. Or
Pulling it. Do you ever
yeah.
have that where you get into a thing, they're like, "Hey, Eri, we just need to figure out our vision statement, our mission statement. Let's get to the bottom of that, and then we'll move on." Would you agree? Or is that like danger zone when somebody's like, I would need to have this sort of like, what's our big why? Do you encourage that? You're like, good, I do want to start with why. I feel like the jury's out on that. Sometimes starting with why is a great idea because it's got heart in there and it's the guidepost for everything else you're going to work on them with people. Or it's this death march that kills half the time you had and it gets you this academic, it's a navel gazing exercise and it's
Yeah.
an inoperable mishmash hodgepodge sentence that nobody is happy with. Those are the two extremes, obviously, but does anybody ever come to you on that? And then what's your improv response to that? Like, glad you asked, or let's take it in a different direction.
Yeah. I will say I think that people love to skip steps. And
Mhm.
this is always when I have a first interaction, especially with a client, if they're coming to you with like, hey, what's our mission statement? Chances are you probably are this is a new client. I think clients will skip steps and that they really want to get straight to the tactical side of marketing. They want to get online, they want to get on Facebook, they want to get on Instagram. But I actually really welcome those discussions around why are we here? And I think the first place to start with that is always what are your values? So people will often jump to like, here's our mission, here's what we're trying to do. But if you don't understand the underlying reasons behind why you're doing things, you're really not going to be able to like maintain a consistent tone or message or whatever across the board. And so I always start with those discussions of like, what is a value for you? If you're coming off the street as a new employee for this company. And on day one, you get a set of guiding principles about how you should be doing business so that it's cohesive across the board and everybody at this company is doing business the same way. What are those things that you need to know? And I think that companies often, or even just brands or even individual creators, they might think that they just inherently know that, and so they'll just wing it.
Yeah.
But I found there's a lot of value, and it makes things so much easier to have those values to align on. And then from there, you can build those values combined with, your mission statement and your purpose. All of those things are what form your identity as a brand,
What
right?
if a client said to you, "Oh, we already did that, Eri, like, here it is." Would you take it at face value? What are you looking at to measure or judge, or even put it another way, let's say they took you up on what you just said and you did it with them. How do you know like you're done with that? I just feel like it's awkward in the workshops that I've been a part of and so on to say, we're done with the visioneering. We're
Yeah.
there. How do you know either I want both from you. If somebody said, we already did that before you got here, Eri, here you go, or you're leading a session, you're trying to track time, you've got a few different objectives, you want to do like, so what about this? How do you figure out when that's been done either before you got there or while you're there?
Well, I would say client respect is very important. So
Mm,
if a client comes to you and says, we did this work, we're not interested in revisiting it, okay, you have your roadmap, you're going to run
noted.
with it.
Yeah.
I sometimes I have opinions that are different about how we can improve things, but I've yet to work with a client where there wasn't some sort of opportunity down the road
Yeah.
to fix things. And it's always good to know upfront if there are gaps in the values in the mission statement. You can find examples as you go on with the client of times where maybe that fell short. That's the appropriate time to bring that up, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but times where like there are times when clients are like, "Hey, we don't really have that fleshed out. We need to talk about it." And so you have to be that it can be a time suck, right?
Mhm.
Uh, I think that's when I'm starting to think, okay, so what does this company even do?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Are you curing cancer? Are these like really, really crazy values that you need to stick to
Right.
for moral reasons or regulatory reasons or whatever?
Mhm.
Or we do a little bit more fun, right? Like
Mhm.
you make ice cream, right? Like maybe it's not so as deep, right? Um, and then also from there, when you're setting values, is you have to make sure that you have the right people in the room,
Oh,
right?
who's that? Usually, and I realize it's obviously different for every size of organization, the nature of the organization, but how about like some big buckets, types of people, levels of people, anything like that come to mind that you're looking for?
Any stakeholder, really, anybody. If you're going to be making decisions about if we can move forward with something or not, I personally want you in the room, right?
We're holding
Because
stake.
if
Yeah.
you've been in this situation,
Mhm.
somebody doesn't attend a meeting, and then they're like, "Well,
Yeah,
Rob
I'm
over
not
in
doing that.
HR,
Yeah.
yeah, he has to be the one to approve it," and it's like,
Mhm.
then why wasn't Rob from HR in the meeting,
Oh my
right?
gosh. Have you ever had somebody just come in? I had this happen where I'm on a roll. I feel like I got things under control. So and so couldn't make the first half. They're going to join after lunch, and
Mhm.
they come in and just take the whole thing in a different direction. They miss the whole first half of what you laid for a foundation. I'm not saying this is the exact scenario, but
Yeah.
stuff like this, right? Have you ever had, to your point, somebody you come in for the second meeting, or it's halfway through the back half, and this person who's been outside of the big picture discussion then comes in and is like, actually, I think our why, or I think we got to dovetail the discussion in this direction. I know it's a bit of a curveball, but like,
No, that has literally happened to me.
yeah,
It does happen, and
what'd you
I will
do?
say, first of all, if somebody is says that before the meeting, right? We always like confirm, like, hey, how many people are going to be here,
Yeah,
right? If you're not confirming exactly who's going to be in your workshop, you're making a mistake. So confirm
amen.
that. And then if anybody is like, hey, I'll join after lunch, immediately my like index of suspicion is high, right?
Hmm.
If I need to know I need to get a sense of what vibes this person is bringing to the room. I always ask my client, usually you have a point of contact, right? So
Hmm.
I love to ask, hey, the person that's joining after lunch, to what level do you think they're going to participate? Are do they feel very involved in this? Can you give me any sense of what they might be bringing to the room? I think that is very helpful if you can
Love
get that
those.
ahead of time. But if somebody comes to the room and they are determined to retrace previous steps, I think that's part of the improv thing,
Mhm,
right? Is you have to be willing to, and I would say it's very annoying, and we can have very emotional reactions when people do these things.
mhm.
It can be annoying, it can be frustrating. I think it's good to acknowledge that. But then as a leader, it's your job to process, let it go, and really take at face value. Are they contributing to the conversation? They might be rehashing stuff we already did, but did we miss something? Is it
Yeah,
valid?
yeah.
And
I
if
think
it's
that's a
not
good point.
valid,
I wanna index on that, like,
yeah,
very good point there, Ari. It's not always about, "I'm the leader of this workshop," or, "I'm the leader of this meeting. I have to keep it under control." Anybody else who is taking control is a threat. Like,
yeah.
wait, feel, listen, see. Where are the outsiders coming in, facilitating? See, how are they reacting to this? Right? Good idea. Like, observe,
Yeah.
and don't just immediately react.
Well, and I think I love that word listen, right? It's
Yeah.
our job as facilitators is not to dominate the conversation. It's to listen to what's going on and guide that conversation, right?
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
that being said, if you've done that, right? And the inputs that this person is bringing to the meeting aren't helping further what you need to do. I think it's good to just call it as it is, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes, depending on the dynamic of the room, sometimes you call a break
Yeah.
and you go directly to that person and say, "Hey, just want to catch you up on what we've already like gone over. Here's some notes, right? Whatever you can do to help that person." And then I think it's good to just one on one say to that person, "Hey, here's the things that we have left to get to for the rest of the day that we've all aligned on that they're very important that we want to talk about. So I just want you to know I'm going to move the conversation forward. I don't want you to feel slighted, right? I would still love your opinions. Here's my email, right? Let's still talk and get your inputs, right? But I think you can be very mature about it. Um, and then sometimes if, that one-on-one approach isn't available, right? Or like you don't have time to stop or whatever, sometimes it would be awkward and weird, like you're getting called to the principal's office.
Mhm.
I think you can also just, and anybody that's leading a workshop should have the ability and the skill to look at a crowd and say, hey, we're going to put a pin in it right here. These are
Yeah.
all great inputs. Something we do in our workshops a lot is we'll have sticky notes. We say, if you have ideas throughout the workshop, write it on the sticky note at any point in time. You can go put it on the wall. You can go put it
Yes.
on the table, whatever you want to do.
The parking
Uh,
lot, the backlog, that type of
yeah,
thing.
they're data points,
You're heard, but
right?
we're not acting on it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's other ways I've seen other workshops do that. I've been in workshops where they did it differently, where
Yeah.
you could send an email, they'd have a shared board that everybody was logged into on your laptop. There's a million different ways I've seen this done, but I think having that avenue for people to add on ideas, even if we can't talk about it, still, getting that information, very important. And there's lots of ways that you can kind of guide away from that person. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just have to say no.
Yeah.
you
No, but
know?
I so graceful what you said. Eri Hickey here, ladies and gentlemen, like she facilitates a lot of content marketing, branding, strategy workshops for her agency. Has been doing it for years. Just been very impressed getting to know you. And you doing this. That's why we brought you here on the show, because as you well know, Vision to Vibe is all about, we've got this vision. We need to get everybody else on board, like through a workshop, so that we can produce a vibe for our target audience. That's what we're all after here, folks. And that's all Eri's trying to do with this hypothetical scenario with this person who's trying to hijack the agenda halfway through and take it a different direction. I love those very graceful sort of ways to approach that person and bring them in. And the scenario I'm thinking of, I went to that person during the break, like you
Yeah.
said, and I said, "Hey, can you help me? Like we're trying, like I thought what you
Yeah.
said is great. You got energy, you got passion. Can you help me just try to like use that and steer us towards I just basically said, what I'm trying to do is the same thing you're trying to do. Let's just try to join forces and see if we can get
Yes.
everybody moving in the same direction of our message, our vision, our mission of what we're trying to create here. Oh, yeah, fine. Sure. Now I got them using that energy for all of us versus
Yeah.
their own personal agenda. But same sort of like best practice you talked about here. So good, because I know I'm talking with a veteran who's been in a lot of these rooms, and not everybody here has. And it's very intimidating to others, as you and I said. What about, how do you handle, Eri, when you have somebody else who's dialed in remotely? I'd like to hear your answer for, If it's the client attendees who are
Yeah.
dialing in remotely, maybe there's something you do before we even kick it off or anything during. And then also, what if you have somebody else from your team who, for whatever reason, they're your copywriting team or somebody else who's going to be like a subject matter expert who's also remote? Like, how do you handle remote people from your side, from a facilitation standpoint, subject matter expertise standpoint, and or like stakeholder participant? They're on the speaker phone, they're on the laptop, while you got everybody else really vibing in the room.
Oh, man,
Challenging,
I
right?
hope we moved away from the speakerphone in the middle of the conference table, man.
Nope, nope,
Like, I
nope.
hope technology is
I'm
moving
like,
us forward.
Qualcomm, is that still a company? Are they make Qualcomm? Is that a thing? They still have that
Man,
little, like, it looks like an alien sort of like 3 different, like, legs coming off at the speaker in
yeah.
the middle. I'm like, "What is that real? Is that still
I think
happening?"
it's probably been 7 years since I actually dialed somebody into a meeting in a conference room.
They're
I'm sure
still
it's still
hanging.
out there and it exists,
Yeah.
but
Or let's
yeah.
say it's a Zoom laptop. I hear you.
Yeah.
At least it's something. Somebody's dialed in on Zoom or the conference bridge, whatever. What's
Well, and
your
this is at any meeting, right? I think
mm,
this mixed attendance sort of thing is actually, I think, very common, even just,
yeah,
like, in, like, normal meetings, like, if you're in an agency or a corporate environment, whatever. I will say I'll tell you about a time where it didn't go
yeah.
so well. I was a
I want
participant
stories.
in a meeting,
Yeah. Protect the
and
innocent, but I want stories.
yeah, 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 we're here for stories.
Yeah.
And I will say, just blanket statement, this was an honest mistake. They did not mean anything by it, but I
Sure.
have and it's not I would say it's happened more than once where I've
Mhm.
joined in on a call where, like, the majority of the meeting was happening with people in a room, and I was
Mm.
calling it remotely, and then
Ooh,
what
that's
happens
tough.
is they forget you're there, right?
Yes.
And so you'll sit there with your hand raised for, like, an hour, right? It is
Mhm.
such an easy mistake to make. If you're
Mhm.
leading a meeting, I will say I have done it and then
Mhm.
realized halfway through, "Oh,"
Yeah.
like,
Right.
"Hey, hey, Rebecca, what do you think?"
Yeah.
You know?
She's like, "If I could just get a word in." You're like, "Ah, Rebecca,
Yeah,
sorry,
it's like,
right.
Let's give you some time to
I
talk."
happen to build
Hopefully
the product. Thank you." Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like, "So sorry." And I will say, I think it's more common now too because people use AI note takers and stuff, so, like,
Mhm.
it's also
Bit
good to
more.
remember, even
Yeah.
if it's just an AI note taker, it's always good to remember, like, "Hey, even at least the AI note taker is listening to what you're saying."
Mhm.
Um, I will say, and my first preference, when it comes to like a big meeting or workshop where you're like, a client's paying good money for this, like I always want to try to get everybody in the room,
Yeah.
right? It's
Absolutely.
always, I just want to say ideal scenario, right? I think we all
Mhm.
feel that way.
Don't sleep on it. Push for it if you can. Advocate for it if you can. Tell them that's the best result. Set that expectation. The best results, the best vibe, the strongest alignment, the most efficient way is everybody in the room. Now, if you
Yeah,
can't do
you can
that, we're
pick
not
up
going to
on
say it's
energy.
impossible. Yeah.
Yeah, you can pick up on, like, an energy, I think, from people, and, it also with technology, there are limitations, there's lag, right?
Mhm.
It can really put a wrench in things, so that's always my first bet.
Mhm.
But what is more common, I think, is that sort of, like, mixed meeting format where some people are remote. Um, I think the biggest mistake you can make, is where you're physically sitting in the room.
Mhm.
Right? If you're sitting here and the people remote are on the screen behind you, you are never gonna remember that those
Oh,
people
yeah.
are on the call,
Great point.
ever.
Mhm.
So, flip where you're at in the room, make sure if anybody has to see them, make sure you can,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I also think a good strategy is if you have a friend you can pull in, who can also be on their laptop and can monitor for comments or hand
Yes.
raises. This is
So
like you
good.
can't do everything by yourself,
So
right?
good.
I
They're
mean, you
handling
probably
it.
work with other people, right? Like, when you're
Absolutely.
doing these?
I'm usually brought in as a facilitator by some other marketing strategist. Maybe it's an agency, or something like that. And they need facilitation horsepower, but they are sort of overseeing and hosting the call. They might have some subject matter experts or some other support resources where they kind of need me to pull out the information, just like you do, that they can capture and sort of act on and organize on behalf of
Yeah.
the client sometimes. I've had that, but I relate so much to what you were saying about put whoever's on the web or whatever in a place so it feels like they're at least in the room audience wise. They're facing you. The laptop is facing you, or bare minimum, like you said, so true. Have somebody who's sort of handling them, who's monitoring the chat, so you're not constantly having to look down or at worst feeling like you're ignoring them entirely.
Yeah.
And then building in some steady, some pauses. It's been 20 minutes, it's been half an hour, whatever the increment is. Hey,
Yes.
Tom, anything from the folks online? Anybody from folks from California or anything like that? And let them weigh in. Give them a little moment in the sun. Give them a couple beats to be heard. You know.
Yeah, and I'm actually so glad you brought that up because I think that's something I take for granted. Like, I've done a lot of um, public speaking training and stuff like that. And so over the years, like you get used to naturally like pausing, asking questions, remembering other people in the room. It's
Mhm.
very human, very normal to just go on a tangent and forget to pause. And so it does take some effort to learn how to do that.
Mm.
Um, but it's something I think we take for granted, right?
Mhm.
As superstar extrovert communicators, right? That
Mhm.
it's not just a given skill. And so, whatever you have to do, if you have to set a timer on your laptop, a
Mhm.
silent one, right?
Mhm.
That like pings you every 10 minutes so you know to like ask and look around the room. Hopefully, you're not facilitating in such a way that and you're dominating the conversation in such a way that, like, you're so into it that,
Mhm.
like, you are forgetting to, like, that
Yeah.
other people are there. It's your job if you're there, if you're facilitating a meeting, and it depends on to what level you're facilitating the meeting, I'm sure, like, obviously, if I'm in an internal meeting with my coworkers, I'm gonna be participating.
Yeah.
But still, anybody who's leading or owning a meeting, should be thinking beyond just their own needs and wants and points and be thinking to other people in the room. And I will say, I always look for the pockets of silence, right? That's kind of how I do it is I think to myself, okay, where have I not heard noise in the last couple of minutes? Because there are people, there's all sorts of different communication styles. They're all valid, right? Not
Mhm.
everybody needs to be an extrovert or like somebody that is comfortable with this to have value on a team. And so I think making sure as a professional steamroller myself, right, that I'm
Mhm.
creating opportunities for people who are maybe a little bit more introverted, or maybe we're taking their time to formulate a response. So
Yeah.
looking for pockets of quiet and saying, and I like to call on people directly. This is
Mhm.
this is something people either love about me or they hate about me.
Mhm.
I don't know. Nobody said it either way. But if somebody's really, really quiet, I think everybody should participate. If you're there, you should participate. And so
Yeah.
I'm not a stranger of saying, "Hey, so and so." I try to learn everybody's names, right? If
Yes.
it's clients, "Hey, so and so, I would love to hear what you have to say." Right?
Right. Yes, and it's so 101, but let's just reinforce it, is I think there's again, if we're talking about how to use improv to be more effective at facilitating workshops, first of all, you already heard it from Eri, starting with why. Great way to sort of buy time and feel out the group. Is the why clear? Is the why shared by all? Is somebody more passionate about the why than others? And you just kind of get to it's data, it's information, not even what they're saying, but how they're saying it, who says it first, how long it takes them to say it, how clear it is. Like that's all going to buy you time and give you information to figure out what you're going to do next. And then also, I've just gone around the room. What's everybody's name? What's your role? And what are you hoping to get out of today?
Yeah.
And that's going to tell you something no matter what they say, however much or little they say. It's information. And I bet what you're saying about in terms of getting to know people's names, I'm now writing that down or typing it out, whatever, as they go. And sometimes I'm like, I've got it sort of like a little table map that I'm like, that's Tom in the corner, the
Well,
last guy,
and
that's
why be
Jim.
so hard on yourself, Nick? Name tags exist. We have
Amen.
solved this problem.
Eh, are they followed by all? Are they put on by all? Are they distributed and stuff
Yeah.
like that?
Or placards, there's lots
Yeah.
of like,
Yeah.
that's the one time where I'm like, go analog, baby. Like I
Yeah.
want a Sharpie and a name tag.
Right. And I'll bet you'll say it's not that like people remote is always a subpar way to contribute to the workshop. We're just saying in general, all things being equal, it's just a little bit safer and better if we have everybody in the room. The energy transfer, you can read body signals as humans, just obviously easier and better there. However, and I'm sure you've got some anecdotes on this too, sometimes a person who is not in the room has the ability to go use AI real quick or go calculate something or go look something up. Whereas if they were in the room, it would look distracting, or
Yep.
whatever it is. So I've had sometimes like the folks in the wings online throw something in chat that is like, oh, you know what? I don't know if somebody would have brought that up here in the room because we're just so in the zone and we've got a certain way that we're doing this at the moment for the last hour or so. This person just threw in something from the side again because maybe they're introverted or they've got the time and they have the freedom to go
Yep.
look something up or whatever. But sometimes online participants can bring something unexpected and dare I say necessary into that thing that I thought everybody had to be in the room for it. Have you had a moment like that where you're like, well, not bad that you were able to just go ahead and do that or type that out versus interject or whatever? You
Yeah,
had
I
anyone?
love that, and I think that brings up a really valid point, and again, that we're all different communicators. We
Mhm.
all have different ways that we process information, that we, communicate information, right? And I
Mhm.
think it's very important that we keep in mind that those differences are a good thing, right? I have been in rooms where everybody agrees, right? And you might think, especially if you're a junior marketer, you might be like, "Oh my god, I'm in a room with everybody is just agreeing with me? That's amazing," right?
Mhm.
In actuality, no, that means there's a problem, you
Well,
know? If
no,
it
sounds
just
good. Let's just do that. It's like, did we even need to get in this room then? You know what I mean? Could have emailed
yeah,
each other.
well, and then also a lot of the times it's what's been my experience is that later down the road, you actually end up even if you don't have that opportunity to misalign in a meeting,
Mhm.
that doesn't mean that the misalignment isn't there, and it will pop up again
Mhm.
later down the road when it's much harder and also, like, more expensive and more billable time to fix it.
Mhm.
And so I will say, just as an aside, I'm always nervous if I'm in a room and everybody's agreeing with me, and I'll stop the meeting and say, "Hey, everybody's being real nice, right? Like, does anybody have, like, a disagreement? Like, is
Yeah,
there
because
any
I
are
know
there
you're
any
worried they're all
members of the
going,
teams?"
"Yeah, sure, Ari." Like, get her out of here. Like, "Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, well,
whatever."
I'm not
Right?
perfect, I'm not a robot, so I'm like,
Yeah.
"Why is everybody agreeing with me?"
Right. You're right. You're like, "I'm not that good." Right? Like, there's gotta be somebody here's just mailing it in, right? Like, they're
Yeah.
just trying to get it over with. Like, "What's your real opinion, bro? Like, what do you really think, huh?"
Well, and
Oh.
the nice thing about having those people who join remotely, sometimes people wanna join remotely because it's more accessible to them, right?
Mhm.
Because they aren't somebody that feels comfortable in what they perceive to be a high pressure situation, right? Which it
Yeah.
can feel high pressure if you're in a room full of all of your peers or the top people at your company and you're being forced to give inputs, like, it can be really intimidating, and so if you have somebody that can join remotely and they're able to still participate by sending a message, right? Maybe not even getting on camera, but just by sending a message. Again, we have to it's our job and our duty, right, to make sure that we're not trying to impose our communication style on everybody in the room and instead respecting what they bring to the
Ooh,
room.
that's the shot of the show right there. That's the shot of the show. It can't just be about solving for the golden rule, treat everybody how I want to be treated. The golden rule actually is treat everybody the way that they want to be treated, or at least be conscious of the way that that is, right? And
Yeah,
try to solve for that and try to serve. So love that.
and you'll make a lot more friends,
You make a lot more friends. Before we go to our lightning round, which I'm very excited for because it's all improv, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. I don't think you could even guess half of them, Mary, but I'm excited. Um, Before we do that, take a beat. What about those scenarios? And I know you've been in them. I was in them this week, where it's the opposite. Now everybody's online. Sorry, Ari, you're not flying out to wherever.
Yeah.
We're not driving into you. We're all going to be online. Cameras will be on for 2/3 of these people. The other third have just opted to have them off. All you can see sometimes is just this name here. Sometimes it just says the company name. You're like, why don't you put your name in the Zoom thing for crying out loud?
Yeah.
What, any tips, tricks, things you like to kind of lean on or go for when it's like, all right, everybody's remote. I can't see all your faces. I can see some. Just what's your take on those moments?
Well, I think we all get into these situations, and I think if you're in a situation where you're giving like a big presentation, you worked hard on it, you're presenting a deck, right? And you're frustrated because most people are off camera or they're not paying attention or, it just feels like you don't have their attention. I think sometimes we take it very personally and we take it internally and go, "Oh, it's because I'm not engaging enough. I didn't, my slides aren't good enough, whatever." But I always take that as an opportunity to be like, "Hey, did you set expectations, ever? Like, is it in the email at the beginning of the meeting? Did you say, 'Hey, everybody, I'd like to invite you to be cameras on. I'd like
Mm-hmm.
to invite you to participate. Please put questions in the chat. Somebody's monitoring it.'" Like,
Mm-hmm.
did you create an inviting environment for people to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Because people will
Amen.
match your energy, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Kinda can't get mad. And also, every corporation's different, right? There are a lot of corporations where they don't care if your camera's on, that's not what it's about. Um, so again, you just have to be respectful of the people that you're talking to, but again, not trying to impose what you need and what you want on them. We can always invite them, but you don't know why somebody's camera's off. Maybe they've got stuff going on, you never know and you shouldn't assume. And it
And
also probably has nothing to do with you.
no, we've all witnessed that. We've all been in that mode ourselves. It's like I'm not listening to you, but I'm so antsy about what's going on. I'm moving around the room and I don't want to be distracted. My kid is crying downstairs. I have to move somewhere else or whatever it is. I got to get up and get a glass of water, but I've got my headphones on and I'm listening intently. Like there's all sorts of reasons. I mean, I've spoken at conferences. There's always that moment where you feel like you're killing it. And then like that guy or gal gets
Gets up.
up and walks out and you're like, really? But then I've
True.
actually like run into those people that sometimes it was like a friend of mine or where they said, I had to run to this other session or my flight was leaving, it's like, it has nothing to do with you, to your point. It's nothing. It's a logistical issue,
Yeah.
not a performance issue. And I love what you're saying about setting the expectations and sort of modeling up front, like and that's what I wanted to say, Eri, what you made me think of when you're explaining this is like, I think at least a third of our job, if not more, is to model the type of passion, attention, rigor, style of participation, style of contribution. Someone's just like, can someone just set the tone here? Can someone lead the charge as to how we all should behave and when and where we should all speak up and what you want us to do here? Like you said, it's a skill. It's so
Because how would they
soft.
know?
Yeah,
How would they know unless you tell them? Stop
right.
making people guess.
And sometimes they're scared, they're tired, they're confused. They need a little bit of, it's okay. Yeah, no, we can figure it out. Like, nah, we can dive in. It's fun. They're like,
It's
oh, it
fun.
is? Maybe it
Yeah.
is. All right, Aries seems to be okay with it. Maybe I can be okay with it. Because I was scared shitless. But like now I'm a little bit like, okay, yeah, maybe. So don't you feel like that? Have you felt that you're like, I'm bringing people up here at the outset? I'm getting them a little bit more fired up about this intimidating or sideshow thing to them. Now they're
Yeah.
going, oh, wait, this is that interesting to somebody else? This could be that exciting. I could have a sense of hope about what we're embarking on. I didn't know that.
Well,
Emotions are
typically when I
contagious, no?
yeah, well, yes, and when I will say when I present on things, a lot of the times I'm presenting data, right? Or like analyzing performance of marketing campaigns, things like that. Not really that sexy of a subject.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't generally like getting up in the morning like, can't wait for Aries presentation on, how social media did this quarter, right?
Well, I don't know. A lot of our clients, that's usually the only thing they give
Well,
a shit
maybe.
about. You're sort of like, can we talk about the how? And like, they're like, no, talk about results, reports, dashboards, but no, I hear what you're saying.
But oh, maybe. I mean, you're lucky, right? And I will say, I get it, right? And
Yeah.
I think it's because some of us, and I don't know, so in the industry, the way we've approached those conversations as an industry in the past have been very much like you get an Excel spreadsheet in your inbox, and they're like, here you go, or people are stressed, or like they're not really enthusiastic about it. And so my goal is, I think you're not a good communicator if you can't present information in a way that your clients can understand and care about it.
Yeah.
Um, the mistake a lot of people make is they're just like they just go down their numbers and there's no context and
Yes.
they don't have examples. I
Yes.
always try to formulate the way I do presentations with like everything you're saying in those presentations should have a reason why you're saying it, right?
Yes.
It should be impactful or it doesn't belong in that presentation. Not
Mm-hmm.
saying you shouldn't report on it. Maybe you give your client that hard data if they want it, right? But um, we always need to be presenting to people in a way that they can actually understand it because otherwise you're just talking at people, you're talking down to them. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
likes that,
No.
right? And so if you can set the tone for the meeting, one by I think the way you have your slides and things in your deck helps, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's very easy to understand, there's not a ton going on, it's just all the clear points, people will visibly relax, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they can understand what's going on. And
Create some mental
also,
space for them. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, give people some white space,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the decks I see out here,
I'm guilty.
it's
Yep. Yep.
Wild West out there.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think the verbiage that you use is very, very important. The words you choose to use matter,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The way you phrase things, the level of accessibility you bring to your language. I try to never assume a certain level of education or knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also, if we can't explain these concepts of what we're doing to our clients, like if they're hiring us to, let's say, run a social media campaign, and we can't talk about it at a level that they understand, it's either because we're not doing it well, we're not organized in a way that we should be for people being paid to do this, or we just don't know what we're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so again, you should be able to communicate with your clients at like kind of a sixth grade level
Yeah.
so that they can understand what you're doing. If your clients can't understand what you're doing, like there's a huge problem.
Right. And I don't care who you are. If we're talking about digital marketing for Small to medium-sized business America, enterprise business, sure, throw them in as well. I mean, I was on
Yeah.
calls earlier today where I don't care who you're talking to, they want the 101. You know,
Yeah.
like, oh, these are execs, these are tactical operators. Doesn't matter. Somehow, in some flavor, you need to get everybody oriented on something, no matter what their title says. You need to be like, are we all on the same page? It's this, this, and this. We got that? Okay. Now we can go a little deeper. Now we can get into those reports. Now we can get into those tactics. But it's tough to
It
I
creates a sense of psychological safety,
yeah,
right? When
you skip the
everyone feels
101
like they're on
at
the
your
same.
peril. You skip it at your peril. You skip the why at your peril. You skip the baseline level setting as to vocabulary, key terms at your peril, right? When you say that? Yeah.
Yes, and also I will say what we were talking about earlier where if everybody's agreeing with me, I'm nervous, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes the reason why everybody in the room is agreeing with you is because they did not understand a single thing you said.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
No, yeah. My kids do that all the time. No, yeah. I don't think you
They just
understood what I just you're looking me in the eye. I don't think you understood what I said. No, I didn't. You know, you test them. So where are we putting it? I don't know. Got it.
well,
So
and I'm
tell
I'm
me you
gonna
don't know.
pick on somebody a little bit. I
Yeah.
think the C-suite is the worst at this.
Yeah.
I think they tend to do this sometimes as if they don't really understand what's going on because they're in this position of leadership. They feel like they don't have the psychological safety to communicate that, hey, I didn't understand, right?
Right.
I didn't get it.
Right.
And so it's I will say if you encounter that situation where everybody's agreeing with you and you feel and you get that gut feeling like nobody was paying attention or whatever, it's always good to be like, hey, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Let me just really quickly re-summarize what I said and then invite the question again. Say, "Are
Right.
there any questions about that?" And then that you're creating the psychological space and safety for somebody to be like, "Actually, you know what? I
Right.
I've had some time to think about it now, and I
Right.
have a question."
And I
Right?
know
You're
you'll do
giving
this
people the out.
as a fellow extrovert. I'm always like, look, don't worry about calling out a question. I'm ADD. I love it. I need it. It gets me excited, you know? So I'm like, go ahead. And then so somebody takes a chance and does it. I'm like, thank you, Jan. Got it. Yes. Love that. More of that. Anybody else, you know, like it's just let them feel like it's safe.
Yeah,
Sometimes we
don't
just don't know
punish
if it's
people for
safe.
asking questions. That's what you want.
Right, right. And we all know, but let's say it again. Don't pretend you know an answer if you get this is another improv 101. Don't you dare. Don't fake it. Be real, keep the trust, keep the authority and go, you know, that's a curveball. Great question. I kind of know half it, but I don't want to pretend that like I know the answer off the bat. Let me just take that down, right? That's a classic. I may not know the answer right now, but I promise I'll get it to you. I know who does, or I can go get it for you afterwards. I've never heard somebody go, well, the hell with you. You know what I mean? You should have
It's
guessed the
never
100.
happened. I don't think it's
Never,
ever happened in the history of
never.
marketing has that
Yeah.
happened.
No, exactly. So take confidence with that, guys. Let's back it up as we start to head towards the horizon here of this little episode here, Eri. Um, you know, you and I are fellow nerds. We not only do we love marketing and wordsmithing and public speaking and using our communication skills to rally the troops to a brighter future of connecting with our target audiences, but we like to play games. We like to practice these skills and other fun scenarios. So, you enjoy, you know, Dungeons and Dragons, don't you? You play a little bit of that?
I do. I enjoy any tabletop role playing game, I will say, for the
Amen.
most part.
Yes.
With the exception, I don't know if it counts, but Warhammer 40K, I'm not there yet. Give me time.
Well, it's
Like,
just so expensive, like with all the figures, and you got to buy them. They're so expensive. You got to learn, and it's like, and to me, Warhammer is all about your painting skills. There's a subtle like subculture of like, it's not just like, look how good I am at playing this hex based sort of like turn based strategy figurine game, but like, look at how good I am at painting these things. And I'm like, now there's painting on top of role playing and
it's
playing for 8 hours.
multidisciplinary. Yeah.
God, I gotta
I did
pay
download all of the Horus Heresy books. If there's any
I gotta
40K
pay this company for the
audience.
privilege of finishing the products that they make for
Yeah.
boku money. You're like, all right, it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
$30 figurine and it's blank, it's gray. You're like, yeah, now you can spend 4.5 hours painting it poorly. Or you can pay a guy on Etsy or eBay to do it for you for twice that amount or whatever. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I'm
It's
looking at
weird.
you, Wizards of the Coast. All
Right.
of the money I've given Wizards of the Coast for D&D stuff, like, over
Indeed.
the years.
Exactly. So, look, it's worth it. It's fun. And let me just say, in short, because you and I have talked about it a bunch, is like what I think was great about tabletop board games and so on, and it goes almost dovetailing off facilitating, is it provides structure. What's nice sometimes when you're hanging out with friends, you don't have a lot of time. People have a lot of energy. It's the end of the day, it's the weekend or whatever. It's like have a little bit of structure around your fun, like a way to guarantee we're going to have some fun, like a way to guarantee what people's roles are. Like I almost wish the workshops we were just talking about had a bit of a gaming board game factor. That, by the way, one of my missions for 2026 is to, in addition to all the best practices that you and I already do around workshops, I'm like, have a gaming element into it. Change nothing about what we talked about. But in the
Yeah.
beginning, we're all going to roll a bunch of dice and see who can quickly get all their dice to have the same number on it before we
Yeah.
start.
If
That's
I can
gonna
get clients to, like, roll for initiative when,
right?
like, they're all trying to talk over to each other, you know?
Oh, I don't know if we can do this, but all right, I guess we'll do it. And then they're having fun and they're laughing and they're breaking out of their molds and their roles. Like, but it's scary.
Yeah,
You got to take a chance, and you know that somebody's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable about it, and
yeah.
and it's very easy for everybody to be like, can we just skip that? So it takes guts to bring it into the business environment, but lots of fun when you're with friends like, and trust.
Well, and I tell people all the time, if you're looking to, like, really up I think D&D is great for learning improv skills, right?
Hmm.
There's lots of those elements of, like, yes, and,
Hmm.
right? To, like, keep things fun and keep people thinking. But it's a really great training environment for getting used to being in charge of a meeting, right?
Hmm.
Especially not
Oh, great
everybody has
point.
the same opportunities, right? And so you might be in a job where you don't have a path to management, right? So
Hmm.
you're not getting the opportunity to lead meetings. Tabletop role playing games are a great opportunity to learn that skill set outside of like a corporate work environment, right? Because
Hmm.
it's kind of the same, right? You still have to do all this preparation. You have to know the people in the room and what they're bringing with them, right? You have to know your subject and what you're trying to cover. You have a story that you're trying to tell
Yes.
throughout the time,
Yes.
right? And also you want to, you have to be involved in the conversation, right?
It's so
Enough to
true.
guide it and understand where it's going, but not so involved that like you're taking over the game. Like you still have to let the players play the game. It is literally just a workshop. If
That is it right there, guys. If you're like, "That sounds great, Nick and Eri, but I don't it's scary. I'd never get asked to facilitate workshops. I probably never will." It's like, just try leading your family or your friends through a simple game that you like, that you think they'd enjoy.
I guarantee you, no matter where you live, there are 5 nerds in your city that wanna sit at your kitchen table and listen to you talk about dragons.
Give
So,
people
bring
something
board games.
structured to do. That helps diffuse, try having some like structured healthy competition, like just take them on cards or board games and stuff, roll some dice. It's a nice structured way to get the tension out inside or outside the boardroom.
And I'm pretty sure that's how Yahtzee started. They're
I
like, "Is Thanksgiving unbearable? Have a board game."
All I've ever learned about family dynamics, I learned from Yahtzee. So look, we're going to the lightning round now. This has been just a hoot and a holler. This has been just a gallivant through thoughts and ideas. And folks, I hope you've been taking notes. But now we're going to get personal, because Ari obviously is a font of knowledge. And remember the theme of the show, which is how improv skills will help you be a better facilitator or whatever your role is. And we're just going to see how Ari does right now. I'm just going to throw out some questions, and here we go. The lightning round for Ari. First up, your favorite Smurf. Ari, what do we got there? Favorite Smurf comes to mind.
I have never seen The Smurfs,
Great.
because my parents did not let me watch cartoons.
Okay.
There
So
you go.
what might your answer be then? Like, your favorite Smurf, given that. I could have just given you a
I would
pass.
say the biggest one, the one most likely to succeed in combat, probably.
I
Yeah.
love I don't know, the one that could
They're
survive in
like
a death
combat in
match if you
Smurf.
put them all into a battle royale, the one that would come out. That's a good bet. I mean,
There can only be one, I don't know.
yeah, it's right. If we didn't know anything else, like how do we survive this Smurf scrum? Fair. That's okay. Good, solid. You survived that one.
Okay.
So, favorite hors d'oeuvre you've ever eaten or ordered at an event?
Ooh, oh, that's so good. Oh, man.
You're welcome.
Ugh, I will say I'm gonna sound so basic saying this, but I love a good crudité.
Crudité.
I just want some carrot sticks and some
Look at you.
ranch.
You don't get enough celery in your diet. You're just looking for that. You're like, oh man, free broccoli florets. Finally,
When are you
load up.
eating raw broccoli in your real life? Never.
Not
Steamed
often
always.
enough. Not often enough. Got to work on that. I love that crudité. I'm a stuffed mushroom guy because they're never the same.
So good.
Sometimes it's like it's vegetarian, but now this one's like full of beef and stuff. Like I'll take it. Love the adventure of how are you guys doing stuffed mushrooms? It's a bit of a bellwether on the organization, right? Whoever the hotel, restaurant, whatever we're talking about, like a
Yeah.
wedding. How's your stuffed mushroom game you doing?
Well, my problem is, like, is it going to be warm when it gets to me? I
Right,
love stuffed mushrooms, but if
right.
it gets to me and it's cold, I don't want
Cold,
it.
soggy, it's sloppy. I don't know what's going on here. It's
A
all
crudité is
congealed.
perfect every time.
Okay, so
Every
now you're
time.
turning me on. Yeah, you're right. Crudité is truthful. It's honest from the get-go,
Yeah.
right? It's consistent.
Consistent.
There's
Yeah.
a lesson there, guys. Think about it. All right, so first app you look at in the morning, Eri. First app you
Oh.
look at in the morning, on average, I'm sure it's not the same.
Does my alarm clock app count? If we're being
If
honest.
we're being
Well,
literal, yeah,
I would say probably the first app I look at in the morning, and I will say I try not to wake up and look at apps. I try to, like,
fair.
wake up and be a person first, and you should
Okay,
do that. Bad for you
sure.
to just look at apps.
I'll work on that.
But I would say it's either Slack or it's LinkedIn. It's one
Ah,
of the 2.
good for you. And I will just say I'm very impressed. If you guys haven't followed Eri, her LinkedIn game is strong, guys. That's how her and I met each other. I said, this gal's
Yep.
cool. I want to go look at your LinkedIn profile. Her LinkedIn headline, no joke. And she's a totally legitimate, very successful professional content strategist, lots of followers, got a team and everything like that, plenty of job security, but she's the Beetlejuice of positivity. Summon me for kind words. How's that for
Yes, you can
bold?
summon me anytime somebody's being mean to themselves, you just at Eri Hickey. I'll show up.
And quick sidebar, you did tell me when we were catching up a couple weeks ago that that's your theme for 2026. I'm going to bring positivity. There's a lot of like shock jock, like shock and awe. Let's take the negative. Let's game the algorithm. We need to take an extreme hot take on stuff. And you're kind of like 2026. Like people want that positivity.
Well, it makes me so sad. I talk to a lot of people that want to get into marketing or like new graduates, right? Or people looking for advice on like the industry. And the attitude of those people is almost always scared and afraid. And they're like, I only see negative things on LinkedIn about the job market and about the way companies treat you. And I'm not trying to minimize that those things happen. I have
No,
worked for some bad situations, like some not great managers. I've been there and I get it, and I'm not trying to minimize it, but I think that we need to be very careful about the picture that we're painting online for the people that are coming after us. One, because we don't want to chase away people that would be wonderful in this industry that we would want to work with. And two, we also don't want to make them feel like that's an inevitability because I will say, I think the work environment today is better than when I started over a decade ago,
how about that?
right?
Yeah.
It's so much better today, even with remote work and stuff. And so I think really truly believe that it's going to continue to get better and better. And so I think but we all contribute to that ecosystem and that
Yes.
perception. And so I
Yes.
want to be positive about it. If you disagree, that's okay. We can still connect, right?
Totally agree. Even if you've had a setback in your life, you can still talk about, well, here's what you're looking to do to work on it. Here's some things that you'd like to focus on. You're looking for some advice in a certain area. You're going to keep people posted as to what you're doing. Like people just want to know that like that it's not on them to somehow like give you. It's not.
Yeah, keep reaching out.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Just keep reaching out to your community.
And we have to be careful what I just said. Again, because we have no idea what comes to people's minds, the tragedies, the challenges, the setbacks that you're facing in your work life. Yes, but at the end of the day, gang, people want to help something that is moving, that is on its way, that's heading somewhere. They don't even know where to help you if you can't cast a light in a direction for where you want to be out of that situation. People are
Yeah.
eager to help. Don't make them think too hard about how to help you, right? And help them feel like their contributions can go somewhere to help you out. So no problem with that.
And again,
So
we're all different communicators, right? We all
mhm,
have different listening styles, right? So even you and I, we're both extroverts. We're similar in some ways, different in others.
be
It's all
well
that.
read. Be
All
well
okay.
read. Take note of other people communicating into your ear through your eyeballs through the books. Absolutely. Last few things you search for on Google and or YouTube that's appropriate to share.
It won't get me fired.
That's right.
Oh man,
Because
should I
I
just look?
know there's a lot.
I
No,
don't know. I will say, I'm a
ballpark.
marketer, so like I'm Googling things every like 5 minutes. you know?
Right.
Um,
That's true.
Honestly, I looked for Fancy Feast for my cat.
How about that?
I was reading something. about the Great Mississippi Tea Company because I've been trying to buy local U.S. grown teas because I
Oh,
love tea.
local
Um,
US grown teas. Think about it. Go ahead.
yes, well, and I was also looking up gifts from the IT crowd. Somehow became my theme for this week. Is every post is just like something about the IT crowd. I don't know why, but I love that show, and it just is what happened this week.
Okay, I like that. Okay, so that's what you had.
That's what I got. That's what I got.
What I have is Galveston, Texas, 1900 hurricane pictures because I
Okay,
was reading a book on tape about that, something random. Um,
gotcha.
the definition of irony, because my son asked me that, and I was like, well, irony. And I was like, well, it's kind of like, it's like rain. I'm like, no, that's not right.
Yeah,
It's
no.
like, I have to look it up, give him the exact one. I looked at NFL standings because I just have completely stopped watching TV with 3 kids under 10. So I was like, I got to know what
Yeah.
the hell I'm talking about here. That's more or less. That's the only interesting the last few days. Okay, cool. I don't want to reciprocate. I'm not putting you under just the hot seat. It's a two-way street here. We're friends. So, all right. And shows you're watching now? Anything of note? We're all media consumers. This is going to be useful.
Okay, so actually, I have an interesting response to this one.
Let's
So,
go.
in 2025, my partner and I actually we moved away from streaming services.
What?
Um, yeah, I
That's a
know we
hot
did the
take.
big chop.
Yeah.
I will say, with the exception of we kept our subscription to Dropout TV. If you don't watch Dropout TV, formerly College Humor,
Oh
they've
yeah,
got
you're the one who turned
amazing
me on to
original
that. You were a big fan of
content.
that. They're hilarious.
Yeah, Sam Reich, please sponsor me. Please
Come on,
sponsor
Sam.
this podcast.
Come on, algorithm.
Um,
Sam Reich. Sponsor Eri. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, yes, manifesting.
Yeah.
But we actually got rid of all of our streaming services, and we invested in physical media. So for the first time in many years, I bought a DVD player or Blu-ray player, I should say. Which a lot of people are telling me like a PlayStation is actually like the best Blu-ray player you can get or whatever was for the price, which is
Sony
crazy.
made the Blu-ray player. Like they know what the hell they're talking about. So it's probably got the state of the art in there.
Yeah, look it up. A lot of people told me to just get a PlayStation.
Mhm.
And we actually started buying, and also we just put out a plea to the interwebs to all of our friends and family and said, hey, if you're cleaning out DVDs or you've just got DVDs that you don't want, let us know. And we've gotten boxes of people's DVDs and Blu-rays. But what's funny is we started doing that back in the fall. I want to say probably in like August, September. And since then, we have watched almost zero television.
Right.
We thought, like, you think that, like, oh, well, we have all these movies to choose from. We're so much more, and we didn't do anything. This wasn't something that we were like sitting down every night and saying, oh, don't watch TV. It just naturally, all of a sudden, it just dropped off. We just
I,
stopped watching television.
I love that because I think how it works is it gives your brain a safety blanket. It's like, don't worry, we're not getting rid of like movies, brain, or TV. We're
Yeah,
just saying you have to be deliberate and pick the one
we're
that you want.
intentional.
Were
I
we
will say,
not?
I love The Pit on HBO, and it's making me question my principles because season 2 just came out. So
No,
I might, when it's all out, I might have to go see if they're making it on DVD or something
remember
like
they were
that.
talking about like, oh, all this streaming service is gonna be the death of TV and what will
Yeah.
actors do and stuff. I have never been bombarded by so many people about so many different shows I need to be watching on different networks. I'm like, where were all you guys when it was like normal, like
Yeah.
TV and stuff like that?
Well, I feel
TV's
like
not going
I'm a
away.
member of the Sith sometimes, like I'm creating the ads, right?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
I was supposed to be the chosen one, but I'm creating the ads, and
You're
then
like,
when I get
no,
I
no. Yeah.
unlimited power, but
Unlimited power. I was just thinking that the other night for some random reason. It's just such a great
but
line. Go.
well, in actuality though, like it's just the hypocrisy of being a marketer is like you come home and you're like, I never want to see another ad again in my
Yeah.
life.
Honestly, my son's like, can we look at something on YouTube? I'm like, I don't want to stare at a screen, son, for like 2 or 3 hours. Like, I really need to just,
I
yeah.
need to unplug my eyeballs, please.
Now we know why we love board games and analog stuff because we're digital
There you
marketers during the
go.
day. Yeah. So, what are you working on, striving towards for 2026? And fun fact, folks, Eri likes to plan her year ahead goals. Get this, in August. And when you told me that, I was like, that is a great call. There's nothing going on. August, you're on vacation. You're thinking about it. Your mood is great. That's what you should be planning your next year, not like, I got to do Christmas shopping for my kids. The time's running out. And, it's cold and dark. And, what do I do for the new year? I'm busy. I'm stressed.
Yeah.
So
It's all
anyway,
about your headspace, right? I like when I do my goal planning, I really like to approach it in a good, headspace, with lots of time. I like to be intentional and really like get to the depth of things.
Yeah.
And also, this is not just professional goals, but I also set personal goals for myself, right? Like it's when
Mhm.
I start to think, do I feel like my reading goal is, where I want it to be, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I'm, yeah, big advocate for starting a little bit earlier. I don't know why we decided collectively that the year starts in January and ends in
I know.
December, but you can do whatever you want.
I like Pete Holmes, the comedian. He goes, it's been 365 days from today as well. You know what I mean? Like, why do we just
Yes.
pick that date? Like, that's the one. We're gonna 3, 2, 1. It's like it's just a date. But what did you set out for? You shared a little bit of me what you want to do social media wise and some stuff like. You just want to paraphrase for our audience because I want them to want to help you however they can. I want them to follow
Yeah.
you online. I want them to get to know you and stuff. But what are some things you're working on that people can look forward to if they follow you, if they want to interact or collaborate with you?
Yeah, I would say, from a like sort of personal professional perspective, I love LinkedIn. Last year, I invested a lot of time into LinkedIn. I'm going to continue to invest time in
How many
LinkedIn. I
times you
think
post? Just tell us.
280 times at least. I think the counter
Impressive.
stopped before the actual end of the year, but
Very impressive.
I will say you got to be consistent on LinkedIn. That's the thing I've learned because I've been on LinkedIn since 2017.
Mhm.
But really, what's moved the needle is and it's just the way the algorithm works. And I don't necessarily agree with it, LinkedIn. Just putting it out
I
there.
know.
We should talk.
It's a little bit
Um,
opaque, LinkedIn, but yeah.
yeah, not a huge fan. But the fact of the matter is to keep up in the algorithm with LinkedIn, you really have to post like very consistently.
Mhm.
And so my goal on LinkedIn this year is to post even more, but with the caveat, and this is very important to me, that I'm not contributing to just noise, that I'm bringing value to the platform. I really want to really lock in this year and figure out what really is like the most useful kind of content not only that like helps me stand out, but also that like people really find relevant and that will help me get in front of the people that I want to be connected with from a community perspective. I also um something I loved last year was meeting people from LinkedIn like
Yes.
you,
Yes.
right?
Yes. I did
I
a
found
bunch of just so
so much
everybody knows,
value.
I did a bunch of fairly spammy LinkedIn outreach, and I thought, "I'm such a hypocrite for doing this. Like, what am I doing?" But I had not and that's why I avoided it for years. I'm like, "Put yourself out there, dude. Like, reach out to people who have similar jobs to you, who are active on LinkedIn. Like, just do it." And some people were like, "Oh, nice outreach, dude." Yeah. And then, like, people like Eri were like, "Oh, that's nice. I'm sure I'll chat." I'm like, "Thank you." That's all I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to, like, chat with people in the business, in the industry. "What are you working on?"
Yeah.
"What I'm working," and you took me up on it, and here we are. So good. It's proofs in the
Well,
pudding,
marketing can
guy.
be so lonely. Any
Very
industry
true.
really can be lonely, but especially marketing, I found
Yeah.
like a lot of the times when you're like a social media manager in your team, you're probably like the only one. It's a little bit rare unless you're in a really big corporate environment where you have other people with like your duplicate job description. So,
Mhm.
like, we need that time with people that are in our zone, that are in the same brainwave to like talk through things and know what's normal and like just push the envelope, right? You can't do it
Absolutely.
on your by yourself in isolation, so
You're
I
absolutely
really
right,
wanna
my friend.
continue to do that,
Well,
this
I
year.
want people to commune with you. She's the Beetlejuice of positivity, guys. She's Eri Hickey on LinkedIn. She's a content strategist, a gamer, just a cool gal, an improv connoisseur. Have some fun with it. If this is resonating with you at all, she's highly approachable. And who knows where collaborating with a fellow marketer, content creator, communicator, facilitator, whatever you're into, can lead you. And we just want to encourage you to get out there and talk to people like us who are trying to help people craft visions and take it to a vibe, man, and whatever we're doing. So Aries available to you. I'm just so psyched that you came on here and shared with us some business things. We talked about personal stuff as well. And hopefully folks just feel like, you know what, I am going to reach out. Like I am going to connect. I'm going to network a little bit, and I know you'd welcome it and I would
Yeah.
welcome it. Is there any other like last CTA or key takeaway? I want to give you the floor. Any last thoughts you want to give for my fledgling audience here?
Yeah, I would say my biggest piece of advice for the year is just keep going, right? We're all dealing with a lot of stuff, right? That I won't talk about on this podcast, right? But
Amen.
like we're all dealing with a lot of stuff in the world right now. Um, and it feels like a slog and there's gonna be moments this year where it just feels like we've all had enough. And just keep going. Don't give
Yes.
up and reach out to other people. We need each other to get through this time. We need communities. So find your community and just hold on tight to those people and just get through it together. We're all going through the same stuff, right? And it really does help to like talk about it with other people. So,
Oh, I so
and also,
resonate with them.
if you need a person, I'll be your person. Connect with
Right.
me.
Right. And I so relate to that. I felt the same way. I've often said to myself, just make it to Friday. Don't worry about what Wednesday felt like. Make it to Friday. Okay.
Yeah,
And it could be totally different. And you never know when you reach out. If you don't reach out, you don't put yourself out there, and people won't know. And
yeah,
I have never had somebody go, you know what, Nick, you're sharing too much on LinkedIn. Like what you put out sucks. What you put out is boring. Will you stop? Like, no. Anytime I bother to share something, and I'm stunned because you get like 5 people hit the like button. You're like, I'm an idiot. I'm just wasting my time. But instead, like then you get on the phone with somebody you really care about who matters to you, and they're like, hey, love what you put out last week. You're like, but
yeah,
you could have liked it. You could have reposted. I know that's not my
yeah.
point, but like, if more people care about what you think and what you're doing than you think, and
Mhm.
give yourself a chance and see. And Ari's a perfect example of it. So I hope people follow you, Ari. I'm glad to know you, and I hope this isn't the last time we're on this pod, flim flamming and throwing down. Hopefully there'll be some future episodes as well.
I look forward to next time. Thank you for having me on.
All right, gang. That was the journey. That was the experience. And thank you for joining us for Visit to Vibe. This is Eri Hickey, and hopefully we will see you guys on the next one. Thanks again, Ari.